You keep misleading men by saying things like, put in more effort. Come up and talk to me in a nightclub. Why won't men approach? You're misleading men because then you start dating narcissists and then you sit there and complain about them. No, what you need to say to men is, hey, I need to find you attractive first and then put in effort. Then it would be fine. Homeless, overweight, smelly people coming up to you and buying you fucking flowers and taking you to dinner doesn't make you sexually attracted to them. You need to be attracted to them first. But women leave this part out constantly, which is why men are complaining.
Women love narcissism.
Yes,
it's one of the three aspects of the dark triad.
That's correct. Yeah, and by the way,
because narcissism, what's innate with narcissism is an overt sense of confidence, which women are attracted to.
Yes,
which is why the subjectivity of being attractive, I think, is probably secondary to the confidence that someone exudes. Because I know some fat, ugly, stinky dudes that have got some relatively good-looking women.
Yes.
Because they exude confidence.
Yeah.
And this is the same thing as well whenever I was talking about, because I've had people come to my chat and just be like, Jake, I'm 5'4". I can't get a woman. And I'm like, okay, well, you can't get a woman not because you're 5'4", but because you have the confidence of a man that's 5'4".
Yeah.
And I've known men that are, great pickup artists. They've got a lot of women. I know a guy who's got a girlfriend who's way taller and way hotter than he is because he doesn't let his height get in the way of that kind of thing.
Confidence does go a long way.
Confidence is so much hotter than a guy looks.
Absolutely everything.
Sure, King.
I'm talking like.
But there is a difference between confidence and arrogance.
Yes,
which arrogance you don't know.
Arrogance makes you super attractive.
I'm gonna say arrogance isn't bad.
Arrogance makes you
but then eventually you get tired of the arrogance.
It becomes annoying.
Eventually, guys, please listen. Eventually, you get tired of the arrogance after you fucked him 25 times.
Yeah.
Then you're tired of it.
I do have to say arrogance.
Don't be arrogant. Listen, don't be arrogant.
Well,
don't be a narcissist.
I spoke about this on stream.
Arrogance
is actually probably one of the greatest indicators of the longevity of a relationship, if on the condition that arrogance encompasses her as well.
Yeah.
Because a lot of women would assume that arrogance is probably very personal, it's very egocentric, it's very, one person, and she's outside of this arrogance and she has to witness this. However, sometimes arrogance can actually absorb the paramour. So you become part of his arrogance. And
you're feeding into it.
Yeah,
I kind of like arrogance. To be honest.
Well,
I
like
like that because because
he's arrogant because he has you, and he's
you're a reflection. When I talk to someone, so to speak, if someone's arrogant to me, please don't take it the wrong way. But if someone's a little bit arrogant to me, it's the chase.
Yeah,
be a little bit unavailable for me. If you're giving me stuff, or up, get it anytime.
Well, now you're describing game.
If a bit of arrogance to me, I'm intrigued.
It's the push and pull.
That for me is intrigue for me. No,
but why is it that arrogance or things that you take actually accountability for seems to be a negative thing?
What do you mean?
So
accountability and arrogance is not the same thing.
When you say you mean men or women? I don't understand what you're saying.
Just speaking in general. So for me, right, in my personal life, I like to tell, and my biggest motive in life. Because you shouldn't take advice from me, obviously. Right?
The view count went down. The view count.
I get it. I don't blame them. It's the fact that whenever we start to become really accountable of ourselves, right? Let's say, in my opinion, when you say that there's the simpy guys that want to be used, they would, if they didn't want to be used, then they wouldn't allow themselves to be used,
but if they had the option of having a woman have genuine
but
desire
they don't
for
have
them,
they don't have the option.
No, they do.
Some of them like it.
They do. Right? They could just join my fucking program, and they do.
No,
that's
some of them will pay for you to beat the shit out of them, and they enjoy it.
Some of them are lazy.
Let's look at it this way, right? Without
a lot of them don't want to work on themselves,
right? Can we agree with that?
What?
Without losers, there's no winners.
Sure, to a certain extent, but you can also uplift the entire.
I understand that there's that you would, right? However, it's the fact that we have to understand that when people need to take accountability, like let's say, yes, I'm arrogant, yes, I'm self-centered, yes, I'm a narcissist. Why does it always become a negative thing? Whereas it's like being something positive to what you own. It's like,
thank you. Thank you. You just made my case because I have been saying this for forever. Anytime I see some kind of article or some kind of stupid ass tweet when people start talking about like the dark triad personality traits, I'm like, why the fuck are we calling them dark? Because clearly women get off of them. Clearly they've been passed down.
They're dark when they have them.
Through evolutionary history,
triad?
Women have selected men for those traits. They must have a utility. They must be in some
Why
way
is it negative?
that not also make you
survival
someone-
beneficial. Otherwise, people wouldn't have them today.
Not
It's
only
not
that,
even
as
everybody.
human beings,
Because of
if
those
we are
traits.
self-aware, truly self-aware, is that we need to recognize either what society deems as dark, right, or wrong. Whereas, like, you're secure of yourself, so what?
Well, the dark
So-
triad is objectively dark.
Well,
Okay, what is the dark
but it's
triad?
still, like,
Balance.
you being
Okay,
a
Dark
narcissist.
triad is
Go ahead.
narcissism, Machiavellianism, and sociopathy. Those-
Psychopathy.
Yeah,
I
psychopathy.
mean, that's
the
the
majority
Hang
of
on,
it,
let him talk.
the majority of the attraction to dark triad, the majority of it is narcissism. That when women say that they like those attributes. Here's the thing: regardless of what you think about dark triad traits, the reality is dark triad traits are only pervade in Homo sapien males because women keep fucking those
dudes.
men. There is no
100%.
argument against this.
So
If
why
wo-
is it negative?
Huh?
So why is
Well,
it
because,
negative?
because women don't like
Because
women
it
don't like when
shouldn't be
Brock the
negative.
bartender fucks them and doesn't call him the
It
next day.
shouldn't be negative though.
What-
Until
That's
years
what
ago,
I'm saying. Yes.
until about 5 or 6 years ago, I never even heard the word narcissism.
Yes,
And I'll
it's
tell you right
thrown
now,
around so
one of
much.
my most passionate relationships I had about 4 years ago, God bless him, was a narcissist, so to speak, whatever. We were so passionate, hot, and amazing. And we're great friends now still. I never heard the word until 5 or 6 years ago.
Well, the
And-
word is different from the
Does it go both
diagnosis.
ways?
And it now,
For men and
I
women?
think that it can be used good and bad. We have this such negative on it. We've all got a bit of ego. Ego can be good if used
Ego's
good
not
or
narcissism.
but
It's
ego
depending
can
on
be
how
as
they
well,
use
though.
it. If they're
Ego-
gonna cheat and
ego-
lie,
But does it
who's
go
gonna
both
stay with
ways?
that?
Okay,
Does it go both ways?
Okay,
Go
but
ahead.
just real quick before we continue, we need to clarify narcissism here. So narcissism
It's
is not
different.
just an adjective for someone who's very self-centered. Narcissism is NPD, it's narcissistic
Yes.
personality disorder, and it comes with its own subset of
That's different.
symptoms
But
that are
here's the
represented,
Hang on,
problem.
which
let,
is-
let
which
him
is-
talk, please.
which is why then people then perceive them as negative, because narcissistic personality disorder tends to come with a sense of grandiosity, which women find very attractive. It also then comes with a complete and utter lack of empathy and remorse, which also women find very attractive. But then that is what then starts
It's
to
the
cause
problem.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah, but
You
that's-
cannot. It's like while women find these men attractive, there is no functional society with these men in it. To a certain extent, I mean, obviously you have politicians and CEOs or narcissists, but for the most part, the majority of the human population cannot be sociopaths.
And I
If that
learned
is the case,
It's
then
7%.
society breaks down at that
But
that
then
course.
why are people then, especially women, there are so many women in the, I say this with love again, so many women, I know everyone, I was a narcissist. Were they really narcissists
No,
or not?
No, it's just
No,
it's a
they're
fun
not.
word that
Well,
no
here's the
September.
thing.
It's a fun word
They
they
just
learn
throw it
they learn on
around a lot.
TikTok.
And
Yeah.
everybody,
Yeah, just throw it around a
everybody
lot.
is they have narcissistic traits, because if you're not a little cocky about yourself,
You would never cut into traffic if you weren't a little narcissist.
What do you
Anyone-
call
Okay.
anyone who's doing OnlyFans, anyone who's in porn, any YouTuber, any TikToker who is successful, they all have narcissistic traits. You know why? Because they care about themselves and they want to do better, and they're thinking about themselves.
That's
Having
any
narcissistic
industry.
traits, having narcissistic traits and being a narcissist are two different
Yes.
things,
Yeah, that's
though.
correct.
Like,
I
Yes.
don't, I don't feel like it's a narcissistic
Go ahead.
trait.
But
think
that's
it's-
the difference between being a real narcissist and a narcissistic trait.
I mean, that's to ignore the context of the YouTuber or even the person involved, because you could say that the spearhead of like an organization that is a charity, you could say, well, it's kind of narcissistic that you're making it all about yourself, but they are representing a message that is bigger than themselves, which a YouTuber could do.
I was going to say,
Go-
like, when I first started writing, a lot of the stuff that was in my first book came out of conversations I had on forums, on online forums, right?
Is that the 2013 one, the Rational Male?
Yeah, the very first. Thank you. Yeah, available on Amazon.
It's a very good book.
but
Tell
the,
your friends to tell their
But
friends.
the thing is then it went to the blogs, and then I started building out blog essays and stuff based on all of the conversations that we had over the course of like about 10 or 12 years on the forums, right?
Yeah.
And then I had actually a woman come up to me and approach me online anyways and say her son could really use this blog or stuff that we were talking about on the blog, but he would never take it seriously unless I put it into a book form. And so when I decided I was going to actually write my very first book, I was like, I had to get over myself. I was like, do people really want to read this? Like, people really like, am I that guy?
Mm.
It was
But
like imposter. It was like
it's imposter
It was
syndrome.
imposter syndrome, but it was also, and how I got over that is I realized like, you have to, if you're going to put yourself out there, if you're going to be a public figure, if you're going to be an influencer, if you're going to, like, a lot of people, the people who don't get imposter syndrome, those are the guys you need to worry about.
Yeah.
It's the people who do get imposter
Yeah.
syndrome. Because I was thinking, who the fuck wants to listen to what I have to say, right? And then I realized that, because of all the
You have to
response and
consider the message.
And then so what
But
I
you're
realized,
humble.
what I had to realize then is like, you have to be conceited. You have to be somewhat conceited
Yeah.
to say, I think I'm badass enough that people would want to buy this book. And sure as shit, it worked out for me. And the thing is now I know, and now I'm much more confident to go out there and write 5 more books on top of that.
And that's
that's-
embodying a narcissistic trait
So
without being a
exactly.
narcissist.
Yeah.
And it's a positive
Because it's
a positive.
You're
thing.
exactly
I had
who you
something
think you are.
similar
It's
happen.
intentional. It's
Talking about
intentional.
Astrid, go.
And it's just my ignorance on the subject. Is it a narcissistic trait, or is it the actual believing yourself that society has not taught us?
I think you have to. Okay, so I'm gonna quote William Shakespeare really quick. There's in Henry V. What is it? Self-love is not so great a sin as self neglect is not so great a sin as self-love, right?
Mm.
And it's like, and I was like, yeah. So what are you gonna do? Are you gonna neglect yourself, or are you gonna love so much that you have, people will think you're prideful, you're arrogant, just because you're like, no, I'm gonna write a book. That's what it's taking that narcissism and taking that just a little bit of conceit and saying, you know what, I'm going to put myself out there and I'm going to float this out and see how it works, right? And to get to that point, you have to get over yourself and say, other people want to listen to this. So it's, self-love is not so great a sin as self-neglect.
100%.
And speaking even further on narcissism, there it's notoriously difficult to get an accurate diagnosis on narcissism, because people who have NPD or narcissistic personality disorder very rarely ever check themselves in for psychiatric help because they have it.
It's usually
So
a court order that causes
So
them to
it's
go.
so it's very, very difficult to find them and nail them down. And even when you do, what they then start to do is affect their behavior so they don't come across
Exactly.
as a narcissist. So what you need to remember is the difference between narcissistic tendencies and being a narcissist is how deliberate you are with your intentions.
What are you doing?
You could on purpose be like, okay, I need to be egotistical about this. I need to very purposefully put myself in the spotlight because the message I have is far larger than I am. A narcissist does not think like this.
Hey, for
They don't know how to check themselves
those
for
of
the
you who want to get educated on this subject, real simple, check out Dr. Martha Stout.
Mm.
It's a Sociopath Next Door. Her second book is called Surviving the Sociopath Next Door. There's another book called Confessions of a Sociopath, and there's another great book called Walking on Eggshells: Living with Somebody with Borderline Personality Disorder. And it actually goes over narcissism in those books. Read those 4 books, and you'll have a far clearer understand when you're dealing with some guy who just didn't want to settle down with you. He just didn't want to settle down. He likes to fuck lots of women. He didn't want to settle down. That doesn't make him a narcissist.
No, it
That doesn't make him a
doesn't.
psychopath. But no, he's the one getting called a psychopath. That's the reason.